Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to this in action test for Syncron. This is the new series. This is the second video that's going out, and I was actually requested personally for this one by a couple of our frequent viewers, so I thought I might as well just do it. I will do the Calamity Lock. So you need to go Water Enchantress. This makes your opponent completely get on the back foot, because they assume that they're not going to be able to interrupt you. And ironically enough, if they do stop this combo and you only have these two cards to accompany it, you will lose if this gets hit. So there are a few problems with this deck, of course. We discard the little D, just to show that we don't care, that there is another card that we, can have. So then we normal summon the Rev Syncron. At this point we can't be Nibiru because we have our Wandering Griffin Rider. We go straight into Baron de Fleur. And yeah, so the next thing we need to do, after we're safe from Nibiru, is summon the Rev Syncron back. That becomes a level 1, and then we summon Speeder. And then he just vomits out every Tuner Syncron, which is the biggest problem this deck has, because it could do with not doing that. I think you need red for this one. You don't get the luxury of Jet here. You trigger our thingy, our Stardust Syncron. Grab the Illumination. Illumination is just going to dip Trial, so we have it for later. Now, the next problem with this, we need to immediately go into our Axel. We do not use it. I mean, there is no need to use it yet. We need to get rid of this. So our Axel is in the grave. We use Fairy Dragon for later. It can either be used as tribute fodder, and don't forget you can always discard another card for Jet Syncron to make Crystal Wing, which would actually be the next spot. But because we don't have an extra card, Ancient Fairy Dragon is a sitting duck. So that's just one thing to note right there. We don't need to do it, but it's there if we have the extra card. This is just to feature what we can do. We Synchro Summon into Crimson Dragon. And since a card was tributed, we are going to trigger Assault, which is going to reborn the Axel Stardust Synchro Dragon. There was no reason to bring back Trial at this point. You could have done, but at the same time, there was absolutely no reason. And this is so we can make Crimson Dragon twice. So we're going to be targeting our Baron, making Dispatcher. Now, this is actually quite wasteful as a combo, in my opinion. But if you don't want the hassle of your opponent attempting to play, this is how you do it. You reborn the Axel Syncron back with the Dispatcher, and then you make your generic 12. Of course, I know that Legacia is a card. You would make Legacia, draw a card, and then you would have a discard for Jet Syncron, so you can make Crystal Wing. However, God shouted at me for not updating a deck that we'd already profiled and changing the list. Which, to be fair, I see the reasons why we do it. I'm just explaining to you now that this is a little bit outdated and that we have to do it this way because this is the one that we featured. Of course, I'm showing that we're going to have extra bodies. There is more stuff we can do, but we are going to just make our second Crimson Dragon here. And when we pass turn, because we still got our Baron negate, we're assuming our opponent did absolutely nothing to us. They would have been crying if that were. They'd have scooped watching us do this, so we wouldn't have got this far anyway. So we would pass turn, Crimson Dragon makes the hot red. The next one is my favourite. This is the one that I usually go for. Again, remember, extra cards we would have had in hand would have been used to make at least 2 more synchros. That is how sort of spontaneous this deck can be. It can just be quite explosive. So again, the same we'll do. We do adventures. We get our opponent into a position where they panic and they look at their Nibiru and go, "Aww." Discard the little D. We obviously trigger the Wandering Griffin Rider, make sure we are insulated through Nibiru. We give our opponent no choice. And make sure we're insulated through Imperm now, by making the Baron as well as Nibiru, because it's an Omni, and someone decided that was great card design. Mill a card, reborn it back, and we make Speeder again. This time, we do have the luxury of summoning Jet. As I say, this deck has 5,000 rotors, so the chances of you not having Jet or maybe access to an Axel in hand, because I like to max out on it anyway, you're going to have so much. So this is just, of course, bare bones. And we obviously trigger Stardust. Syncron, do not negate that, because that would not be a great idea. We activate this. Send the trial. So now what we do is something quite interesting. We summon Tri-Edge using Wheeler and the Jet Syncron. We do not want to trigger Tri-Edge here because it was made with 1/5, and destroying our own stuff in this situation is not going to be ideal. So then we need to make Axel. And we do now have the luxury of triggering it, because our Axel Syncron is engraved. We don't reborn Axel Syncron, it needs to stay there. We reborn Jet Syncron. And now we can, of course, trigger Axel to then make Stardust Dragon. Immediately synchro into Crimson Dragon again. There is a pattern. And then, of course, we trigger Axel. We can trigger Trial as well. We'll just reborn Trial. So it's just there. Now, we are going to save our Dispatcher. So this is how you do the double Omega Rip. We don't care for, I'm gonna say, Speeder. Like, it could be Jet Syncron, you can keep it there, it doesn't matter. You can make Shen on top. But what does matter here is you can go into your Omega. For some reason, someone decided this was a non-once per turn. Made it a light, and then designed a card which banishes any light or recovers any banished light or dark. So you just Omega'd once, Dispatcher reborns it again, and then we're going to do it again because it's a non-once per turn. Our opponent has now lost 2 cards. We are going to be front-facing 4 cards with an Omni Negate, a Destruction, and guess what? A Pseudo Macro Cosmos that is recurable, because we have an array of attributes in the grave. So, that is, like, off the 2 cards, we have a double hand rip, and an Omni Negate, a pop, or a monster negate if we could shuffle back one of our opponents, and of course the Shen, which is Pseudo Macrocosmos. Now, what I do sometimes is, if I am able to, I will make another Crimson Dragon. And this is actually more of the frequent one, because then with the other Crimson Dragon you target Shen, which is generic, and make Hot Red, which I'm obsessed with. Thank you, Dragon Link format. So, those are the 2 card combos, and I will be showcasing to you the reasons why this deck isn't played more often if it can do all that stuff. So, I guess we'll be jumping to all the recorded replays.
Fight time or something to that effect.
And we are here for the testing segment of the inaction for Syncron. This first match that we're going to be looking at was a 2-0 featuring Centurion Spriggans, which was an interesting mashup, but I guess it worked to an extent. Now, this first game is showcasing how draw really hurts the deck. We've done our one search, we've needed plenty more, and it hasn't gone off. However, with this particular hand, we are still able to make a Baron, at the very minimum, and for some reason, we think it's a good idea to make the Stardust Syncron without being able to search Illumination and completely waste the resource. Yeah, failure on my part. So he goes his land, makes Merrymaker. I think the idea is to negate Merrymaker. I made a mistake. He can still do plays here, and obviously I was not reading anything that he was doing, which will cost you matches. So do as I say, not as I do. He makes the Ashethos, pops my Baron, stopping me from summoning warriors. Ironically enough, I've been playing with reinforcement of the army this entire time, and having no legal targets because of the junk converter that I took out. Funny. So he's declared it. I don't have any warriors left in debt to summon. That's whatever. He was probably better off doing dragons. But I still managed to go full adventure combo and set back up again. So it didn't end that badly here. So we've been able to go Axel. Axel reborn a thing. He gives up because at that point I can do a few more plays and, you know, win from there. Now this is game 2 of the Centurion Spriggans. We're going second, and I also make a giant boo-boo from the beginning once again.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Because again, I didn't read anything. I've got the Lightning Storm. I'm like, whatever he summons out is at least a free hit. Maybe get rid of a negate or maybe 1 or 2 cards. He doesn't go that far. He makes a geisha, manages to keystra one of his Centurions in the back row, and then I activate Lightning Storm, immediately destroying nothing because I don't read. However, been able to go full adventure combo, or at least I thought I was going to be able to. I make Baron. He tries to ash something and negate it with Baron. I'm no longer insulated against Nibiru, and what happens? I get Nibiru'd. If you've got both, you got both, but I've been able to at least summon the Stardust Syncron, recover back Illumination, and then once I've got Illumination, I can send Trial, maybe make a few more plays, and then forget completely that we need non-effect monsters, and we can't activate right because we've already done it. I've basically missequenced this thing. I might have not missed something and just got a bit happy with cards being able to be used. However, 2 tuners do not make synchros unless you're playing Vanadium. So, at this point, it's recovery, maybe get a next turn play. If he's got full combo here, I lose. Luckily, he did not. He just attacks. And then next turn, it's easy sailing. I didn't even need the droplet because, of course, there was no point in negating the Beru. I have plays at this point. Make Speeder, make the absolute nuts, and then we are free to go off. And what I'm trying to do here, actually, is showcase the Shen Shen Hot Red line, where I make a Shen Shen, and then Crimson Dragon target Shen Shen to then make Hot Red, which is my favourite variation of Crimson Dragon line for this. However, he does scoop before we get that far, because to be fair to him, there wasn't any point waiting. So, match 1, pretty good. We're happy with that. So, for game 2, we were against Cybers, and I'm going to be honest out the gate here, we got absolutely battered. There's no nice way to put it, like, we were bullied. He proceeds to do a 5,000 minute combo. I'm surprised his timer didn't run out. And gets a billion bounces, 3 of 5 negates. Gives us an Ibly because why not? It was funny. And as you can see, Cybers are still evidently doing things. I guess circular isn't needed. And I'm going to get shouted at for saying that. So he goes Firewall. He gets the whole line here, but this is what's funny, right? So he's got his protocol talker, whatever, and he's made a firewall already, and he gets rid of it, seemingly gets rid of all of it, to then do it again. I assume it's part of the build of the board, but it just caught me off guard. It just seems a bit overkill. It's just giant dragons and a heat soul. I thought as well, like, if he also had Cynet Conflict as one of these setback rows as well, then yeah, this was pretty much a done deal. However, I entertained the idea because at least I could tuning, search Wheel Synchron, tribute the Ibly, and maybe get a playthrough. I was heavily mistaken and ended up with 500 cards in hand, and it still didn't matter. However, he didn't understand that Reborn just needs to leave the field to summon. He then ends up being forced to negate that with the Ash in his hand. And then I get Talent. It doesn't matter how many cards I have in hand at this point. I still can't play. I can't summon. He's got another 2 bounces. It was just a lose. So this is the second game of me getting 2-0 by Cybers. Obviously, I wasn't going to sit there and let him do that again. I tried to go first. Tried to go first. Made Wheeler. The plan was to normal summon Stardust Synchron and maybe get Shen Shen up, maybe make Drew's Worm and Baron. I could see where my line was here. It wasn't going to be full combo, but it was definitely going to put a spanner in some works. However, he impermed the card that let me normal again. I've got this play off, so I try and get Drew's Worm in so I can make a Baron at least. He has Bell, right, which stops Drew's, and then I'm pretty much out of plays. I activate on your mark because I might be able to get draws off, and I have a droplet that maybe can negate something. But XE catches me off guard. I droplet, and then I get confused with Splash Mage at this point because I DD Crow his Ling, and I didn't get rid of the Splash Mage target because I forgot Exceed went to the grave immediately. And to be fair, even though it looks like it's 500 miles an hour on the replay, I was sitting there for a hot minute waiting for something. So I did forget. Dark Fluid, and that's all she wrote. Like, I've genuinely forgot piercing was a thing, and it could attack twice. So yeah, that game was actually rather sad for Synchrons, and it's one of its few downfalls. Although, to be fair, with an updated list, it might have been up for it. Now this match was against Dynamorphia. We're not going to be looking at the other two matches because I was completely decimated, and if we were going to have a funeral for this deck, then that was going to be the footage that was going to get released for it. However, game one was rather spicy. We managed to do a thing. So, on your mark, and Water Enchantress is full combo, as featured in the combo at the beginning. We get Ashnar Water Enchantress for a bit of a bait. I thought, why not? It's the only time baiting worked for me. So, we still managed to get it because we have Right. We make the Rider, and of course, once we've gone through Rider, sorry, I'm trying to pause there. Once we've gone through Rider to insulate against everything else, we can normal summon our Rev, make the Baron, and of course reborn the Rev to then use the token and the Rev to go in Speeder, and then make 4 Synchrons, and get Illuminations so we can set up our Axel play. Now, I was supposed to be featuring the Hot Red combo here. However, I got a bit greedy with the Magnemate, and the Magnemate stopped that combo from happening. Ironically, that combo turned out to be a lot better. The one that ends up being presented is actually much better against Dynamorphia, because if we make Hot Red, they just set 3 cards and pass, and we lose because we're extern. So I'm glad I made the board that I did, because it was better catered for what we were playing against. So I was able to at least pop my own Magnemate with the Baron, so I can clear room for a tuner, so that I can reborn Axel Synchron to then actually carry on, and decided to make Omega. So we ended on a pop for next turn, an Omni Negate that we still haven't used, a Monster Negate, basically a Monster Pop, and a Rip. And we also have a Druids against Dynamorphia, which isn't that bad. So we ripped out a Fossil Dig. I'd sooner, just to be honest, I should have waited for it, but again, because it's Dynamorphia, they were just going to set cards, so it was probably better that we fired off the Omega a little bit earlier. We put a counter on your mark, and he proceeds to rip our board apart. We activate Baron to pop a card. He then activates the New Judgment, which I didn't know takes 2 things with it. Just completely rips that apart. I have a Drury's Worm, but he then goes Rexter, which I now no longer can activate any of my monsters that are face up. I have to go tuning, make the Drury's Worm. My idea is obviously to make Shen Shen and send the Drury's Worm with the Rev Synchron, and then we can use the Drury's Worm. However, he does Judgment it. Didn't matter because all I needed was Drury's Worm to go to the grave, which happened. I can send Rexterm. We're easy sailing, but I think the funny thing is I only managed to secure it with monsters that literally have 500 attack. After he's Rexterm me, he ripped the board apart. So, to be fair to him, like even in game 1, like I was definitely up against something. So our next feature here is Sword Soul. Sword Soul Tenyi Super heavy samurai, good stuff. It was quite a spicy list. I must admit, this is game 2, and I'm actually appalled at myself for how long it took. I'm appalled at myself for how boring everything really is, but I thought it was very interesting at the end, at the least. And we did lose game 1, but because of game 2, we got an instant scoop in game 3, which wasn't usable, so we did actually manage to win this one, but we did get wombo comboed by Sword Soul completely in game 1. So, I've been a dipstick already. I had full combo, and it could have been ignored. All of this could have been easy sailing, and I chose to do nothing about it. Because I could have activated Adventure, sent Rotor, we didn't even need it at that point, Search Wandering, Summon Wandering, then activate Tuning, and have a negate for the Ash that's just destroyed our only play. So I do Wandering now, and deciding not to go through the Syncron line, just in case he has more hand traps. I just go best off to set the Book of Moon, summon the Wandering Griffin Rider, keep the 2 interruptions, and at least with Book of Moon, I can Book of Moon a Sword Soul and have a generic negate, which I could at least time alright because I had a few bits of experience with Sword Soul. However, he does the unexpected here. He searches Moyi. I'm expecting a full Sword Soul combo. He sets some passes. I'm confused. Just must have not had the targets to reveal in hand, to be fair, but definitely off the back foot. So I activate this to get a right, forgetting that right can't actually summon another token. So then, after learning that, I just normaled Syncron. Syncron doesn't resolve because of Ash. So, we've been Ash twice. I can't get Illumination, and I can't really progress my plays any further. So I'll make the Axel, no point reborning anything because there was an illegal target in Grave. Talents because he's used Ash to draw 2. I look at the cards in hand, I'm a little bit upset. There isn't much we can do here. Get Trial, at least get Omega in rotation if we want to. And then we can do a bit of damage, rip a card out of hand, and just do this for a little bit. So he uses Moyi, so activates that. I Book of Moon Moyi, so he's burnt his normal summon. He can't follow up with Taya, and he's going to have a token on field. This wasn't really good news for Tenyi if he did have the extenders. I don't think. I think he could still Tenyi. But it didn't matter because it caused a pass. So we get that through. We can use Adventure, might as well thin the deck out so we can see half a play, get a token out. Get our Stardust back, and then we can finally go into rotation and go wombo combo. However, another Ash on my Stardust Syncron. 3 Ashes in 3 turns. Insane. So we know he bricked. Go Crimson Dragon target, at least get Crystal Wing going, and then we can clear his board. Not kill him, but at least clear it. Now, I forgot that he had Taya in hand, which you shouldn't do. You should never forget cards that your opponent has in hand. I've burned Omega quite quickly to reduce his hand size. Well, I do end up doing it after I've activated Crystal Wing, follow it up, completely miss the Taya, getting the Veiler out of the hand, and then he's got Taya. And Taya, with no negates on field, will do the trick if he's got full setup. So he proceeds to then go full Tenyi. I'm then thinking, hang on a minute, can Taya send Vishuda from deck to grave after it's sent? Turns out he can. I was really upset about that. So then he manages to, at the very least, go Monk, and then he can activate Vishuda, bouncing Crystal Wing out of the picture. Adhara gets Vishuda back to hand, so he has the target for long one. And then he doesn't even go Baron, he goes Chenyang. I thought this was Curtains, because my token's lowered to 1-2. I look at my life points and they're not they're not happy against these stats, and I thought it was Curtains. However, before actually pressing the surrender button, I noticed I had 400 left. So Heart of the Cards moment. I know Droplet doesn't look like a Heart of the Cards moment, and it didn't do anything, but we still managed to go easy sailing, harvest things, and then make a Baron. I didn't even need to go this far, and he negates Stardust Syncron once again. 3 times he negated it. I didn't even get to see Illumination once in this match. So I go Baron, pop something, and then that is the 2-5 that we needed 100 over. So it was quite an interesting match. It shouldn't have taken that long, and my god, I made so many mistakes. Now this one is against Voiceless Voice, a meta contender at the minute, I believe, with the new low and the new service support. I can't remember what it is, the cards that actually got support with this, but it's a relevant ritual deck, and well, it was a tricky. It looked like it was going to be a tricky one because I didn't know what the cards did. I knew that low was new, so the only thing that I ended up hitting was low when I saw it. So we had to go an awkward start here because wheel synchron at least lets you not get an extra normal and counts as a non-tuner as well. So yeah, not a lot of synchron players are actually playing wheel. I really like it because it's the only synchron that can really help in this situation. We get our Illumination ashed. I'm not very happy about that. But we can adjust the level so we can get into Axel. Axel can reborn. We can at least make a Baron. Well, Disbatter, reborn that. Get a Baron. So Disbatter and Baron. I wasn't quite confident with this board, especially when I saw the first voice card. I thought this was Curtains. All he has to do is normal summon the Diviner, and that's game. But he activates the spell. I let it go. I'm waiting until I see the low. I'm not doing anything until I see low. And then I finally Baron the low. He activates this engrave. I shuffle it back. I don't know what effect that had. I don't know what it was doing. But it was from the grave and it negated it anyway because I could shuffle it back. And the minute I see Typhon, my mind's put at ease because he's got absolutely no more plays and Typhon shuts the rest of them out. Disbatter at least lets me recover a play next when I get rid of the Typhon. It didn't really matter. He just scooped at that point because he assumed I was going full adventure combo. So that was the first Voiceless Voice game. And to finish this in-action feature for Syncron, we're ending on the second game of Voiceless Voice. So we have a completely stacked hand here. I'm assuming he's going first. He proceeds to do quite a bit, actually. And yeah, I still didn't care for the interactions he put out. I wasn't actually sure what he was achieving here. And then once you start glossing over the cards, you realise they've got a few doobledoos. Saravis is actually a broken pseudo-judgment. The new ritual has quite a few decent interactions it can put out. I decide to bestial here at least, so if he does have negates, then I get the bestial out. I can trigger Magnum before it happens, and then that goes through without it being negated. And then obviously this is just some form of negate because, you know, the amount of support this deck has is actually pretty scary. I get to trigger Magnum, so he's not doing anything else here, and I believe he does get Saravis out the minute I try to play. So Druids target that. He gets Saravis out after he's bounced a thing, summon Druid's Worm, and I'm pretty confident in this because nothing's very big. I book a Moon Saravis because it is a judgment. He chains this card. Brand new trap. I try to go to at least adventure combo. I have stacked synchros in hand. There is absolutely no point in me trying to do anything else except for the adventures. If I can sell the negate here, we're easy sailing. So he's forced to at least interact with the adventures before, you know, he wants to. We try and summon the Wandering Griffin Rider. His effort is to obviously fizzle that out by getting rid of the token. So my Wandering is no longer live. I normal reborn Tengu. I have Axel to activate in hand, and then this gives me everything I need. And he's fully aware that that was full combo. Sadly, we didn't get to see it, but you know, let your imagination run wild, and you tell me what I was going to finish on.
Okay.
So yes, that concludes the replays. So that concludes the in-action for Syncron. We'll be hopefully getting many more of these out to you as quick as we can. There's a new series, so we've got quite a few more decks to come and cover. Hopefully we can maybe get a few of the more relevant ones featured. We'll bring out all the Mimi decks, updated Mimi decks that we might have in storage. So I'm hoping that the series does alright. So tell me what you think of the deck. Tell me what you like about the deck. Tell me how you play it. Tell me what engines you prefer in it. Of course, I have said before, I know it's played very different. So I'd like to hear your opinions. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, tell your friends, your aunties, nanas, mothers, or whatever. And bye.